Yes, no one wants the other option?
What was the third option?
You've got a third one that's running for re-election that doesn't necessarily even want to take it up because it has tax or implications. They just want to take it up in an election year. And until two of the commissioners have to signal that they want it brought forward before it come on their agenda.
Okay, there you go. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, so call Tom Milkey.
He's the definite no.
Or even show up at a commissioner meeting and testify at the beginning of the meeting.
Absolutely.
Let's get their attention.
Other questions, comments? Certainly, again, let me know before Wednesday if you have any heartache on us, signaling that we're in favor of the commissioners taking the issue up.
Do you have you heard anything from Camas, from fire, police? Either way, are they taking a stand?
Nothing from Camas Fire.
Leo signed though, correct?
Pardon me?
Leo signed the letter from the county fire chiefs?
Yes, for the fire chiefs, but
Yeah.
the city I've not heard.
And so far, the discussions I've heard from Paul is that they're fine with him signing the letter in regards to having the commissioners take it up successfully. Okay. That's the end of the regular agenda. Dave, I know you've got a couple of items.
A couple of items, yes. The first one, I'm trying to do pretty quickly here, pass out. It's not anything that really requires a specific decision, other than it would be Mr. Likeness is asking that you do a resolution. As you recall, we have an at-large position that is a 4-year term, but we've been doing it as a 2-year term, and it needs to be 4 years. We can simply advertise it as 4 years the next time around and have it be 4 years. Mr. Likeness is saying that he thinks it would be good form, but not necessarily legally required, that we pass a resolution that just kind of says that.
And a resolution is adequate, doesn't have to be ordinance?
That's when, frankly, we don't necessarily even have to do this, but he's just recommending that, kind of conservatively, that affirmative action by the council pointing to your own code and saying that this is what it's supposed to be would be a good thing. He can kind of hang his hat on it and then that's from that point on.
John?
Who drafted this?
Don?
Okay.
City attorney. Yeah.
Okay, just real quick, I don't know that it's appropriate to have Molly's name or Mr. Likeness's name in the resolution, if this is going to be a formal document for the agents.
Even in here, I don't see it.
Yes, it is.
I just don't know that that's really necessary.
We can make it generic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if we're going to be putting it in the books, I'd much
Oh, I
rather
do
just
see
have
it.
it.
Yeah, and
Not have names
talk
put in
about
there.
Mr. Likeness's position, not.
Yeah, I
Thank you
don't
for
get
pointing
that.
out.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Nothing against Molly, just want to make sure that we do this generically so it's for all time.
Right.
I know
Sure.
I didn't read through
Don't
Don's first version because he said he was bringing a second one, and this is the second one. The first one had something to do with the position number, not the position number, so it may have been some confusion in their office, and that's why I put Molly's in there to make sure that everybody understood which position it was, even though we only have one at-large position. But easy enough to do.
Yeah.
We've got enough on the record that we know which position we're talking about, so.
Right. And again, I don't know that we actually have to do it, but we're following Mr. Likeness's advice that he would appreciate it if the council did it, just because it makes it that much cleaner.
Yeah, makes sense.
So we'll have that, have you clean up those and then put that on consent. It's just pretty straightforward. Okay, next we have your rules of procedure. Recall several weeks ago we had a brief discussion and I mentioned that we'd be back to go through it and call it a training. I don't really want to call it a training because I don't feel like I'm here to be the trainer for your rules, but really to facilitate page, just a quick run-through of your rules and to propose a couple changes to you for your consideration and then have some discussion. Several weeks ago in your packet was a copy of the latest rules, but they were copied again at your chairs tonight. I'm just going to run through those real quick. If you want to pull up the PowerPoint, RG, thank you. So I'll give a brief overview in a moment. As we go through it, I'll have a couple recommended changes that the mayor and I have talked about. And then certainly, I think that the most important part of this would be the council's discussion amongst yourselves about your rules and what you think about our proposed changes, A, and then B, if you have any things that you'd like to change. So the first, that went right to the end. And that's the end of my presentation.
You do want to see that Seattle game, don't you?
Yeah. It's 2 games on Monday Night Football. So, your rules in the first section talk about the general rules. There are 6 sections there, pretty straightforward. The meetings are public. Per statute, you have to have a quorum. If you don't,
Which is this bill.
Yeah,
whoops.
it is. Thank you,
But, so you have the quorum, but not that quorum. Attendance, and there's some statutory language there about forfeiting office for failure to attend without being excused, and all pretty routine stuff that you all know about. We keep a journal, which is our minutes. If you'd like to speak, you're recognized by the chair. I will point out, and you can see there in item 1.5 in your language, it says that council members shall confine remarks to one subject under consideration or to be considered. I think the idea there is let's deal with one item at a time. So when you're making your comments, you want to focus on the issue that's on the table, and then we move from that. Although when you're informally making your comments at the end, which often are mostly informative about upcoming events and things, obviously that's not the intent of this provision to limit you to one subject there. And then I think important in item 1.6, you're governed by Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised, unless there's a conflict with your own rules, in which case your own rules govern. And in a little while, we'll get to one where there's a definite conflict there that we talked about before. So those are your general rules. The next section talks about your meetings, and in this section, we have a recommendation for you. But you have regular meetings, and you've affixed those as the first and third Mondays at 7 o'clock. When we have a holiday like we did last week, we meet on the next day, also at 7 o'clock. You can reschedule your meetings if you need to. And of course, they need to be public meetings. The mayor or a majority of the council, 4 members, may call special meetings, and then there are provisions about notice, how we notice you if the mayor's calling a special meeting, how we make sure that we notice the public about that. And you're confined in your deliberations and actions of the special meetings to those things that were in the notice. You have workshops, and those are to be held the Monday prior.